Welcome into a Sunday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, on Sundays, presented by Lance Beal, attorney at law. You can find Lance down in Acadiana, helping you out with everything that you may need legally. Get in touch with him professionally online at attorneylancebeal.com, where you can find him, Lance Beal, attorney@law.com. He is our guy and brings you our Sunday night conversations every week here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We appreciate you being here and starting your weekend or ending your weekend with us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Make sure you hit that like button, share button, comment button, law office of lancebeal.com. Remember, you can find him at 337-991-6263. Personal injury, small business, construction law, family law, estate planning, your choice for reliable representation. Lance Beal, online law office of lancebeal.com. It's good to be with you here on this Sunday night. We will have William Wade tomorrow morning at 7:30. As Wade will be here talking about last night's really electric win up in Bossier. That was a great win for LSU. Fight. I mean, that was one that you'll look back on and say that was fight as Cameron Jordan takes Tom Brady to the ground. Saints up right now 3-0
Give him COVID,
on Sunday night football.
Give him COVID.
Sean Payton is out tonight. Saints run into a little confusion in the opening offensive drive, but for the most part, Taysom Hill makes a beautiful pass to Marquez Callaway. With the split on the finger, and then they can't punch it in. They do get the 3 as they go up 3-0, but Cam Jordan, Marcus Davenport looking good coming off the edge as those two just combined for a sack on Brady with 4:05 left in the first quarter in a punting situation for the Bucs. We'll keep you updated on all scores, sound, news, everything coming from the Saints game, but we will talk a little LSU football here as the Tigers look as if some type of movement is happening on the coaching front. Obviously, this is something that everybody has been paying attention to. Recruiting right now, bowl preparation is going on. BJ Ojulari will be here at 8 o'clock just like he is every Sunday night. So if you're looking forward to BJ Ojulari, he'll be here in about 10 minutes here on the Jordy Culotta Show. So make sure you tell somebody if they are looking for it. Spread the word. Like, share, but a couple of names have started to pop up here on this offensive and defensive coordinator search. And one of the names is somebody that we've talked about pretty routinely here for the last couple of weeks, and that is Mike Denbrock, who is the offensive coordinator over at Cincinnati, and he spent some time as the offensive coordinator for Notre Dame. In fact, he was the assistant head coach who spent 7 seasons alongside Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. Denbrock also worked with Kelly at their stop at Division II Grand Valley State. And as we said, right now, Denbrock is in his 5th season calling plays for Luke Fickell and Cincinnati. They are in the Final Four. They'll be taking on Alabama on New Year's Eve in the Cotton Bowl. They are the first ever Group of 5 program to punch a playoff ticket. So very much a lot of success for the Cincinnati team. Right now, the offense was ranked among the nation's best in a couple of categories. They were led by Desmond Ridder, the quarterback. They were undefeated all season long. But it looks like that LSU is closing in on Denbrock, and that's going to be the guy that they officially name offensive coordinator at some point whenever they can make that public. Obviously, Cincinnati going through the playoff, and this is something that they are paying respect to. But it seemed like in talking to a lot of offensive recruits that there was a plan in place from Brian Kelly. I don't know if anybody was learning names behind the scenes, but they were at least given the confidence that Kelly had a plan in place and had a couple of names that he was targeting. It also looks like, and Football Scoop is reporting, that Todd Monken, who is the play caller for Georgia, was also reached out to by LSU. Kelly and his and the administrators over in Baton Rouge looking to see if Monken was on the market. It was possibly open to Baton Rouge. But it does look like Mike Denbrock's going to be the guy on the offensive side. Then on the defensive side of the ball, it's an interesting name. Assistant coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, Matt House, is the name that has surfaced over the last couple of days as somebody that could be the top target for LSU. Brian Kelly on the defensive side of the ball. House is from up north. He's from Michigan and has spent a lot of time in collegiate football. Most recently, he was the defensive coordinator at Kentucky 3 years ago, and a lot of symmetry with Kentucky through this coaching search, as Brad White the current defensive coordinator for Kentucky, seemed to have been one of the targets, or at least his name was surfacing over the last couple of days and weeks around the LSU defensive coordinator search. But now it looks as if Kelly, LSU, has zeroed in on House. House is a name, Matt House, that has routinely come up in a couple of college jobs. Josh Heupel made an aggressive run at him last season at the University of Tennessee, multi-year contract, big number, defensive coordinator, and House decided to stay at Kansas City. He's with the Chiefs right now. He got there in their Super Bowl. He got there in their Super Bowl winning season and has been there, and now in his third season in Kansas City. Very similar to like Denbrock at Cincinnati with the Bearcats on the collegiate level. There's a time period in place here that Kansas City needs to get to the end of the regular season, which concludes for the NFL, I believe, on January 9th. The second weekend of January is when the NFL season, the regular season, at least concludes, where you see a lot of the shuffling with staffs and coaches and announcements being made. So we will at least know in the next couple of weeks if House is in fact the guy. You will probably learn something over the next couple of days. So those are some of the things that are happening over the last couple of days and hours here for LSU football. It does look like a couple of names are starting to surface. One thing that does jump out, and when you see Kelly building this staff, is that geographically a lot of these guys are coming from different parts of the country, most notably Midwest and northern parts of the country, which you wonder how will translate in recruiting. I don't think that you have to be from South Louisiana to recruit South Louisiana people. I don't think that you have to be from Texas to recruit Texas people. I do think that you need very well represented people from the SEC on staff on an SEC team. I think that you need to have some type of representation of that part of the country, most notably because that's where the best players come from, and there is a lot of comfortability in recruiting the South. There was a lot of what people are looking for in home qualities, in comfort qualities, and just like you, just like me, it's much easier to talk and relate to people.
Ooh!
Let's go. Taysom Hill to Marquez Callaway.
I can't see it all. I hate this.
Long connection again.
The finger.
From Hill to Callaway. Looks like it was a little underthrown, but probably a good thing.
Yeah, came back and got it.
The old Joe Flacco, just throw it short, hope for a penalty, or they get a catch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's so bad, dude.
Stop on a dime.
Hey, work though. Hey,
throw it to the open spot.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, just throw it to grass.
Throw it to the open spot.
Throw it to grass.
My God, number 81 for us was just on skates.
Just get rid of it.
Thank you, Dustin, for reminding us. Yes, make sure you hit that.
Squeeze it, like it, touch
hit that
it,
like
feel
button.
It, click it.
Yes, hit that like button,
Bop
please, for us.
Pull it.
And so we were talking about the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator names. It'll be interesting to see.
Ooh, sketchy.
As Camaro lets one go in and out of his hands there.
Do you think the dark visor is a hindrance?
No.
Worth it?
No.
If so.
No.
Did you have tint on your car when you were a kid? Like when you were
yeah,
16?
I have 10 on my car right now.
You have speakers in there, 10 subs, what?
I just sold them off.
Just loaded them off. Nellie's in town.
Yeah. But no, I don't think it does. I think the gold visor is the one.
If it made me blind, I would wear it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see a thing out here. Doesn't matter.
Ooh! Bad throw. 1-on-1 with Camaro, though.
Just got to get him the rock.
So we'll see, man. I think that there's obviously a timeline in place. I think Denbrock's as good as hired. I mean, his name has been brought up so much by so many people so consistently that it seems like he's the one. And now with Football Scoop really starting to run with it and starting to kind of say that this is the dots that are starting to connect in between Kelly and in LSU and the next OC, it seems as if that might be evident. Now, the Matt House situation says, we'll kind of wait and see if Kelly can pull this off because, like we said, Josh Heupel made an aggressive run at House last season, and it did not come to fruition as he decided to stay in Kansas City.
Tennessee and LSU now.
Yeah, two different.
Especially if you got, I know this might be a little bit out of left field, but you got Tyrann Mathieu there to kind of help him talk about. That's somebody that you could at least ask what the LSU culture is like.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine that Tyrann Mathieu's selling the hell out of it.
That's what I would think. I would imagine he's on your bro. You could go there and be a star.
Yeah, right. Like some secondary linebacker coach here, man. Go call plays for LSU. Make sure you hit that like button, share button. We'll talk to BJ Ojulari coming up here in a couple of minutes. And like we said, we'll talk to Will Wade tomorrow morning as the Tigers last night. They got to find something out offensively. They got to get better on the offensive side of the ball. They got to start – shots have got to start falling for them. I watched Auburn play St. Louis last night. Auburn's tough, man.
Noah called it. That will be a tough game going into a hell of a stretch for LSU basketball, and it seems like Auburn will be a real.
I think of the opening three, and they have murderers row as far as the opening three go with Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. I think Auburn is the toughest one, and not because it's on the road. Obviously, because you have to go into Auburn Arena on Auburn's campus, that makes it a significantly tougher game compared to the two that you play at home between Kentucky and Tennessee. But just as far as the matchup goes, and Tennessee has been considered one of the top teams in the conference all season long. Kentucky, you know what they do every season in recruiting. But Auburn, if you have not watched them play yet, my goodness, they are long, they can run, and they might have the number one pick in the draft, and his dad is a former LSU Tiger. Jabari Smith Jr. If you've not watched Smith play, man, he is electric, and he is shooting up draft boards. And there's potential where he could be the number one pick in the draft.
It's time to see how good that defense is.
Yeah. Brian Russell says, how good is Matt House? I don't know how good Matt House is, but his reputation is sterling if you just read up on him. He was all over college football. He spent some time on Stoops' staff on Kentucky, developed Brad White, who it looked like LSU made a run out last week. And he's been on the KC staff in the last 3 seasons, and people have made a run at him during that time. Aggressive runs at him. Heupel in Tennessee really kind of were selling all of it to House to try to pull him away from KC. He decided to stay, and maybe he was staying for a bigger college job. It doesn't get any bigger than calling defensive plays for LSU.
Look at Dave Aranda.
Yeah.
That's what he can do
Bo
for
Pelini before that.
Does it concern you a little bit that it may seem that he has swung and missed on 2 straight, trying to get Marcus Freeman, obviously, and you see why he didn't take the job. If you're promised the Notre Dame job, that's okay. I understand why you wouldn't come to Baton Rouge if you were given a Power 5 head coaching gig at Notre Dame. But then you go to Kentucky and he swings and misses there. It doesn't seem like this was his first choice, but maybe some advice from Brad that he got in Kentucky as to where he could go to next. Does that concern you at all? Just that it's not his really first choice? Because in a perfect world, he'd have hires by now.
You would think so. Yeah, you would think so. And like I said, I think the Denbrock thing's been done. I think the offensive side.
I agree. That's why I didn't mention that one. I feel like
the
that was the
offensive
choice.
side has been done. And I think the defensive side, he's been kind of slow playing because he wants to make sure and get the right guy. And I think Freeman obviously was his Hail Mary, was his first wish. But, Freeman's about to cut his teeth on his opening head coaching job at the University of Notre Dame, which is just incredible.
Did you see the video they put out, too, for social? It's him meeting with every recruit. They went up behind the scenes, and everybody that signed, they showed the video of him at their house. Notre Dame's about to flip the script on what that program is. He's about to put them in the 21st century.
Well, he's about to bring them relevant to
the new age.
The new age, absolutely. He's going to be more relatable. They're going to be out of the really kind of the dark ages of it.
That's what LSU just brought in.
But I think that LSU needed the stability. I think that LSU's been playing too close and flying
too
close
too
to
much.
the sun.
A little Icarus.
You know what I mean? Trying to be too cool.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where they've tried to get this brand and swagger and put it all in your face and NFL, LSU,
NIL,
all that stuff. Just stabilize the program. Stabilize the program. Build depth. Be a college football program and a power because, look around. LSU, I think they see it and they've seen a front row seat and had a front row seat to it the last couple of days here. They're falling behind. as far as the competition goes. Denver Harris commits to Texas A&M yesterday after his game. Kendrick Law on Friday made it official. He chose the University of Alabama over LSU, and it's not because they love those universities or they had a better time on those campuses. If you speak to people both around those guys, Law and Harris, you heard Tack Miner here. Denver Harris's dream school is still LSU. Was LSU. But these schools like A&M and Alabama are making it impossible for kids that are growing up with passion in other places to say no to their opportunities, both on the field and now financially off the field. And LSU's got to catch up in that space, or this is going to start becoming routine, where every cycle you get the majority of the guys that you want, but you don't strike on everybody, because right now, with the way that the recruiting is set up and the way that college football and college sports is set up around NIL deals, the teams that have it organized and have it understood are dominating getting players. And we talked all about it last week. But it's the same thing. When you look up and you see Denver Harris and Kendrick Law go to Alabama and Texas A&M respectively, or Texas A&M and Alabama respectively, when Harris goes to College Station and Law ends up at Tuscaloosa, in Tuscaloosa. Look, both those guys love LSU. Spoke to people we spoke to Tack publicly. Spoke to people around Kendrick Law up there over the weekend. The guy loves LSU. Loves Louisiana. Grew up with the thought of dreaming of playing in purple and gold. But when it came down to making the decision, it became about business. It became about money. It became about opportunity. And LSU's got to get competitive in that space, or you'll continue to lose guys like Law and Harris. And it's a player's game, man.
The Denver Harris decision puts it in perspective, right?
Yeah.
A guy that has an absolute, almost LSU legacy, somebody that should, without waiver, go to LSU. But then, Jimbo, Tack said it himself when Jimbo walked in his house, he goes, "What the hell am I even doing here? There's LSU flags on the wall. There's LSU jerseys everywhere." He's like, "I didn't know what I was walking into. This is an LSU, essentially like an LSU jungle." And he walks in there, and he's still able to flip Denver Harris to Texas A&M, because when does it come down to? Like, what would you imagine would be the deciding factor when it's like, well, Tack's probably going, well, hell, if they can give you $100K, go. Like, I'll wear Texas A&M on Saturday, but I'll be in purple and gold 6 days out of the week. Yeah. Like, it's your choice. And if LSU was able to offer anything at all in that same vein, I would imagine he would have chosen LSU, right?
Frederick Wright said, stop excusing these kids' behaviors. They're sellouts. Well, Frederick, Jesus. Look, man, you can look at it like that. But
what would you do, Frederick?
If somebody realistically walked into your living room and put a bag of cash on your table and said there's more where that comes from, and if you sign this deal, we can give you consistent payments for the next 3 to 5 years, that it's already set up. It's already signed. The money's already there. It's already coming to you. I mean, it's easy from Section 305 to say that you're a sellout. But when Saban's sitting in your living room and Jimbo Fisher's sitting in your living room with now legal money to negotiate with you, the player and parent, then this is what LSU has to catch up on. Because you can't expect anybody from the numbers game to turn this down, right? Like, as many times as they're going to be offered this, kids are they're going to say yes. They're going to take the money. And, Frederick says sellouts, every one of them. I hear you, Frederick, but that's going to be a tough stance in this way of watching and viewing college football if your team is not caught up in the NIL space, because the teams that are going to dominate recruiting, and the teams that dominate recruiting are the ones that are usually playing in the Final Four.
Now you throw money in the mix.
Yeah.
If you want people that play for the love of the game, that play for the love of LSU, you're going to have a fraternity team out there. You're going to have a bunch of kids that run out that, I love LSU.
Sure.
Yeah, but at some point, I understand where the sentiment and people saying, and fans of LSU saying, well, if you don't want to be here, I don't want you. I get that, but those guys are 4 and 5 stars that you have to have on your team to field a credible team that can be in the college football playoff. You can't just take the L's on these people. You have to realize what NIL is, what it is, and get in the game, because there's no other way to. There's no bones about it. The days of hoping to sell what LSU is and playing for the pageantry of the school are all but dead and buried, right? This is a way where LSU has that capability to sell it, but if you can put that money on top of it, that's what takes you over the edge, right? That's what takes you over the top, and you can get those commitments. They're just behind on this cycle with the changeover, and I feel like they're going to get into space rather quickly. You've seen it already with the transfer portal. They're bringing in guys that can play right now.
Right.
Like, they're bringing in offensive linemen. They're repairing the things that have been a little bit broken by what Coach O left in the dust here. You saw it's more of a cleanup than we thought, right? If you're an LSU fan.
Oh, it's a disaster.
It's a disaster.
It's a disaster. I don't think that even the people that thought they knew the entire story realize how bad of.
You have to rebuild it from the ground up.
It's in shambles.
Yeah.
It's to the foundation. It's to the studs. I mean, Ojulari and Panamsky left this place dusted. You know what I mean? Like,
they threw a party and walked out.
It is
no deposit.
It
back.
is sawdust.
And they got their deposit back, actually.
Behind it. Yeah, they got to keep the money. Some other news coming out over the weekend. Jacques, you said had it first that Blake Baker is not going to be retained by LSU football. We loved Baker so much we tried to keep him on the job.
We did.
We apologize to Jacques for strangling his report. And
well, he's trying to spin a relief med deal out of it. He tweeted us back and said, "Man, this is baby leg."
Okay.
Promo code Jordy 01.
Right. But Blake Baker is out. Several sources last night confirming to Jacques and WAFB 9 Sports that he would not be retained by Coach Brian Kelly. And then Bo Nix, some news today, headed to Oregon.
Feels right.
Going to play for the Ducks, switching over from Under Armour to Nike. Big get for the check.
Big good job, Phil Knight. Way to get on the trail, dude.
That's right, man. Bringing him over from Under Armour in Auburn, as Bo Nix announced on Twitter earlier this afternoon that he is heading up to Eugene, Oregon, to possibly play for the next 2 seasons.
Swung and missed on
he's
Steph
got 2
Curry.
years left.
I should say Nike swung and missed on Steph Curry, but
Yeah,
they got
right.
Bo Nix.
And Brady.
And Brady.
Made a big push at Brady.
But I feel like he kind of feels like he suits Oregon a little bit. It feels right for some reason. I don't know. Who's their new head coach? Does anybody know?
Dan Lanning?
It was their offense coordinator.
Yeah.
Lance Beal with the super chat, our guy who brings the Sunday night. Lance, my goodness, buddy, you do enough. As he reminds you, free estate planning evaluation this week. Protect your family's future. Zoom appointments are available for your convenience. Get in touch with Lance as he is in the chat tonight. Our guy every week. Remember, online, law offices of lancebeal.com. Law office of lancebeal.com. No plural on that. Law office of lancebeal.com, and then on Facebook. All right, give me 30 seconds. We'll catch up with BJ Ojulari here as the stand-up defensive end. Tigers getting ready for the Texas Bowl, the TaxAct Texas Bowl versus Kansas State. We'll ask BJ what he thinks about the matchup.
Bowl?
The
Jimmy Kimmel Bowl.
I saw that yesterday.
Where's the Culotta Bowl?
Coming soon.
Hello?
Yo, buddy.
Yes, sir.
How we feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Short and sweet, no time.
Nice.
Welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show, Law Office of Lance Beal, every Sunday night bringing you this conversation. It is usually with our guy, BJ Ojulari, who's here every Sunday. We always love catching up with BJ as he is going into another week of bowl preparation. No school, just football right now, bro. You feel like a pro?
Yes, sir. Just focusing on one thing this time around.
How has that been? How's the preparation been?
Bro prep been great. Coach Davis been saving our bodies. Practice been up-tempo, getting back in football shape, and we going to dive into Kansas State Monday officially for the first time.
How is Coach Davis been in this role, man? I know this is a huge moment for Coach Davis, not only serving as the interim, but he is the first African-American to be in that position at LSU, which I know is a very prideful moment for the Baton Rouge native. You were on this team. How has this been?
I think Coach Davis, he's doing an amazing job. You know, he communicates with us. He respects our time, and he always tells us that this is a great opportunity for him and himself to lead this team. So it's been a great experience so far.
What's the mood been around the building? Things changing. I know that it kind of feels like football is close. Like you're getting back to getting on the field. How's How is the attitude around the building?
It's up and down. Coaches leaving, some guys leaving, but we're still focused on the bowl game. The task is still to win the bowl game, but it's just part of the business. Got to put the feelings to the side sometimes.
Did you pay attention to National Signing Day last week? Do you pay attention to that stuff?
I really didn't pay attention to it, but I heard we got some great guys. We got Quincy Wiggins that we were pushing hard for, so I'm excited about that.
He's a beast, bro. What was that recruiting like for you? I know you had a lot to do with that.
It was good. Coach told us to stay on him. More of the younger guys like Mason was big influence on him coming. I think so, and I think Coach Carter and Coach D did a great job getting him to LSU.
Take me back to your signing day, bro. What was that like? What was recruiting like for you?
Recruiting was crazy for me. Coach O, Coach Johnson, they did a great job in recruiting me, getting me out of the state of Georgia. Coach O, he's a great recruiter. And on signing day, I felt like LSU was the best place for me, and it felt like home, and I think I made the best decision.
How much back and forth were you in that process? Like, I think everybody just thinks that you just signed the dotted line and you were always LSU. How close were you going somewhere else, and what did it take to get you to ultimately choose LSU?
It was a lot of back and forth, visiting places, feeling like this is home, but you just got to take your time up to signing day. I took my official to LSU, and that really just confirmed it for me as well. But, I was very close to going to other schools like Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, but nobody recruited me like LSU did.
What do you get a Prince for Christmas, bro? What do you want for Christmas?
I'm not really sure. We're getting to that age where you're mostly worried about what you're going to get everybody else. So I haven't really thought about anything really. Whatever comes my way, I'm just blessed to receive something.
Don't let me put you on the spot, but most stressful gift to give. I don't know if you've got a girlfriend. If you do or not, maybe that one, or like a mom, a sister. Who do you stress? Easy over there. Who do you stress the most in getting gifts for?
This year probably my mom. She's a hard person to get a gift for.
Imagine.
And then my brother. He's gonna be a hard person to get a gift for.
Who had he had a big day. I was watching. He played well today for the Giants.
Yes, sir.
Like he's
bro. Yeah, he should be the. He should probably be the one. He should probably be the one getting the gifts. BJ, NIL is all over the place, bro. People are paying attention to this. You are probably set to make a lot of money in NIL next year, just with the type of player and your personality. How do you manage that after a year in seeing it, and how much do you now put an emphasis on this next year?
It's gonna be. I still got to produce on the field.
Uh-huh.
That's the way I look at it. All these deals are not going to come unless you show up on the field in the classroom, and of course, like you said, personality. So going ahead, I got a good team, Rock Nation. Mr. John, he's my representative. He does an amazing job of, keeping everything in line with contracts and stuff like that. So I'm just going to continue to move forward, hopefully. And it's just a smooth process, and we're just blessed to have this opportunity to make extra money on the side.
It is wild to kind of be in the middle of this. You guys are kind of at the forefront of it, where it's still the wild, wild west. How much do you guys talk about that as a group when you get together?
Sometimes we discuss it. Like me and Jerry were discussing some NIL stuff earlier, like last week. It just sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't. Some guys just keep it private, and sometimes some guys don't. It's just all on personal preference.
So what's the schedule like this week with Christmas at the end of the week?
So we're gonna have 4 days of practice this week. They're giving us some free time to go see our families on the 23rd to the 28th. So we come back the 28th, and then we continue bowl prep until I believe December 31st. Then we travel to Houston. So we're gonna be out in Houston for a couple of days before the bowl game. And for this week, we have 4 practices in a row. Practice hasn't been taxing. Maybe an hour tops. We're getting in and out. Coach Davis wants to save us, just get us in football shape. And we got lifts with Coach Flint. With that's been pretty good. Getting us more mobile, more flexible, and stuff like that. So that's pretty much the whole schedule. That's all we got to really focus about. While school's off.
Big difference in the training style between Moffitt and Flint?
Oh, yes, sir. Very, very, very different. At the same time, you do some of the same workouts and stuff, but, some of the ways they do stuff or the way we warm up is different, but we're getting used to it.
Communication with that group, all good? I mean, I'd imagine with somebody like Moffitt who meant so much to all of you, there's probably a tough barrier that the new guys have to break through, but how's the communication been when with the new guys around the building?
Like you said, communication has been all right, but, some players just have to still get adjusted to the new staff. With Moffitt and his staff, everybody's been there for a while, so everybody's adjusted, everybody's more comfortable. So there's going to be a little curve that the staff has to get over before, I believe the team is just fully comfortable with them.
What was the reaction of hearing that Miles Brennan is coming back to the locker room?
I was very excited, Miles been here for a long time. He's waited his time, and I just want him to come back and be able to shine and lead us to a championship like I think he can.
Best Christmas present you ever got?
Let's see, the best Christmas. Last year I got a MacBook, so I'll probably say that one's up there. Yeah.
He's in that Prince.
Have a great Christmas. Have a great week, bro. We appreciate it as always.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, man. See you. There is BJ Ojulari checking in just like he does every Sunday night here on the Jordy Culotta Show, brought to you by the law offices of Lance Beal. Get in touch with Lance online at lawofficeoflancebeal.com. We talk to Kayshawn every Sunday night, too, and we've been back and forth right now with Kate. He's going through a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff coming his way. There's a lot of things on the table. I think that this is a stressful time for Kayshawn Butte, his representatives, his family, everybody right now. And it's a different day and age in college football. I think we can all sit here and debate whether or not this makes sense, whether it's right, it's wrong, it's indifferent. But you know what? Right now in 2021, these are the rules that apply to the college football game, and this is the way that you have to play to be competitive. And right now, Alabama, Texas A&M, amongst other schools, and those are the two that are out in front right now, especially that we are paying attention to in this part of the world because they are prime competition to LSU. They're the ones that are doing it right. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they have the most money and the most alumni and the biggest boosters that care about football being relevant and being understood. And this is what we talked about a couple of weeks back when this snowball began to roll downhill and to pick up pace and to pick up size and to pick up steam. You started to see that, look, okay, now it's starting to kind of clear out and starting to make sense on how this is going to work. The teams with the biggest and the most amount of alumni and boosters and money that give a damn about the football program are really going to be the ones that are going to have the clear-cut advantage. Because you can go to a kid like Denver Harris, whose dad came on a public radio platform, on a public podcasting platform, and said to the public that LSU has been Denver Harris's dream school since he's been a kid. Had posters of Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu on his wall growing up. Dreamt about the day that he represented DBU in purple and gold in the SEC. But when it came down to make that decision, the rules had changed in which college football was operated and governed, and now you're able to pay the kids, and Texas A&M's just paying everybody. They're just paying everybody. They got a deal in place for everybody. If you come to College Station, you're going to make money. It doesn't matter if you're a 3-star, a 4-star, a 5-star, not ranked. If we want you, we're going to pay you. And Alabama's coming behind that and saying, if we really want you, just tell us how much they offer, and we'll put $10K more on the table. And that's the way it's happening. Talking to people on the front line, on the ground level, the people that are hand to hand going to combat with these schools. This is how it's operating. And LSU is playing catch up. LSU understands that they are legions behind two of their top competitors. And with a lot of urgency, a lot of motivation, and a lot of focus, have gotten some stuff going behind the scenes that is going to keep LSU within the mix, or at least put them at the table. Because I don't think that people realize, I didn't realize, I don't think all of us realized how far behind they were. Because I think the mask of NILSU and all of this push early on when NIL stuff became legal and people were talking about it made people, or gave the fan base the peace of mind that, oh, LSU's doing what they need to do behind the scenes to stay relevant in this space. And then it came to crunch time, when it came to when you're really evaluated on how set up you are, and come to find out, oh, that was just a bunch of promotional marketing and colorful stuff that you were putting in Times Square, when behind the scenes you weren't ready for it. But I think the one thing that recruiting does is it exposes you. It does it opens you up. It allows those truthful and honest conversations to happen behind the scenes, where you say, hey, look, we're lucky that, we are the state school and that people still really want to play here, and we're able to get kids like Quincy Wiggins and Walker Howard and Will Campbell and Emory Jones and guys like that are going to make an impact. But you got to get all of these guys. You got to get Kendrick Law, Shaz Preston, Aaron Anderson, and all of them. Le'Veon Moss from Baton Rouge to Texas A&M, money, got it. Shaz Preston, Alabama, money, got it. Aaron Anderson, money, got it. Tuscaloosa. Kendrick Law, NIL deal, got it. Alabama. How much did you need one of those guys? Just one. Just one. And there's potential that they could take Kayshawn over an NIL deal? I'm not here to say that the sky is falling and that the worlds are colliding and that it's over if that happens, but, I mean, that's going to be a bad day. It's recoverable, but it's going to take a minute. If they take the top 3 wideouts in a recruiting cycle and the best player in the sport off of your team because of NIL deals, do you understand how real this stuff is? And now it's a year in, year out war, fight with these schools to keep your roster clean, relevant, and competitive. And if you don't have a foundation, a structure put in place where you can say, hey, look, I know times are tough right now, but we're going to put you in touch with X business owner who's going to set you up to make sure that next season you're taken care of and nobody on the outside can get to you and offer you something that we can't. Right? Like if Texas A&M comes and makes you an offer, if Alabama comes in and makes you an offer, you still have an offer on the table from LSU.
That's at least comparable. And we have a super chat in from Lamar Stevens. Jordy, do businesses have the loot to even keep up for LSU on LSU's end to be able to keep up with the Texas A&Ms and the Alabamas?
That's what I've been worried about all season long when this stuff went into play. I mean, because when it just comes down to it, if you play the numbers game, LSU can't keep up with Texas A&M. Alabama is just a, it's just this animal, this giant where it doesn't have this alumni base like Texas and Texas A&M does, where it's just got gobs and gobs of money. It's just got big business around it that really cares about the program and will do anything for Saban. I don't know if in 10 years, 8 years, 7 years, whenever he hangs it up, if they'll still have the uber financial commitment that they have right now, where if Saban picks up the phone and says, we need the top 3 wideouts from Louisiana in this recruiting cycle, we need to have payments on the table to what we're going to offer them come signing day, and all of who he calls, he made 3 calls to get that done. Or he made 1 call to get that done. Right? I mean, in College Station, Jimbo's got so many people with so much money and people that care about A&M football so passionately that he really can get anything he wants. That's why during this negotiation, when the job was open, I mean, I never really thought that Jimbo was really in play, because what the hell would he leave Texas A&M for when you can go 8-5? People still think that they've got the golden goose, and you get extensions and more facilities.
And more money to throw around at players.
Right? I mean, why would you come to Baton Rouge where if you go 8-5, don't have access to the amount of money you do, they're going to run you out on a rail. And he knows that. So I don't think it was ever real that he was coming here.
Oh, but he was asked. He was courted. There's no doubt.
No doubt he was, and he used it to his benefit.
As he should.
Right? So to answer your question, Lamar, no, I do not believe that LSU has the numbers, that the pages and pages and pages of boosters that are millionaires like Texas A&M, those schools do. But I think if you rally the right people, there's enough money in the state where you can set up a coffer, a system, a protocol, a structure that this is how you run NIL for LSU sports. And you can put enough money to the side with enough core business owners who care about the product to keep LSU relevant, because in the grand scheme of it, Lamar, I don't think that they do. I really don't. I don't think that they don't. They don't. If Texas and Texas A&M say, okay, let's get for real on NIL. Let's really just focus our time, energy, and effort on NIL stuff. Let's make sure and have it crispy, clean, structured. Making sure it's clean as far as compliance goes. And let's just dominate everybody. I don't think anybody could keep up. I really don't. I don't think even Alabama could keep up as far as the money goes. I mean, Saban would just, whip everybody over there into a state of frenzy where they had to keep up. But I don't think anybody could keep up with Texas A&M if they really wanted to just say, hey, let's put our nuts on the table and play NIL and see who can keep up. There's not any. LSU sure can't. And, there's only so much stuff you can sell. Denver Harris was enamored by Saturday nights in Death Valley. Denver Harris was enamored by the live tiger on campus. Denver Harris was enamored by the legacy and tradition of LSU football. When it came down to it, that didn't mean dick to Denver Harris. Because Denver Harris got presented with money and an opportunity to go to College Station and said, come build your own legacy and we're going to pay you for it.
Buy your own tiger.
You know what? Saturday nights in Tiger Stadium wasn't that cool.
These bookmen, though.
Or we'll be there in 2 years.
Yeah.
I'll experience in 2 years.
Go get that money and transfer.
That's what I was talking. That's what I was about to say. With the transfer portal, I mean, these guys. There's no way these guys just stay at the school. Like, if they're not getting the playing time, the money can only do so much. Like, if they're not getting the PT
that they were
promised with the money.
Oh, it's going to be a disaster, bro. It is going to be a disaster. It's going to be an NFL locker room in 2 years.
Yeah.
Not only that, I don't think people realized how tethered these two would become together. The NIL deals and now the transfer portal, because you can get somebody to your school with the NIL deal, but if you have a circumstance where they don't play, then they can hop in the transfer portal and get more money. They can leverage these offers against each other, essentially, because there's no rules. There's no way to govern either way. It's all state decided. Yeah. And if you're going through middlemen, I'd imagine they're trying to do it the old way where you're kind of sliding money, this and that. There's a chance for these players to make a move you get one shot at the transfer portal, but there's a chance where you go 2 years, get paid for your NIL deal for who you committed to, and then you're back on the open market to re-up on your second deal. It's like free agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's LSU's chance to get back in the game, right? Like we're late now. LSU feels like it's late to the party. You mentioned the word coffer. A&M and Texas, not only and Alabama, not only were they ready to offer money now, they had money stowed away in case they needed to re-up the offer. LSU was just now getting into the offer game. So you have to plan for this 2 years down the road. Like, you can get the money gathered quickly, but it's not nearly in the same vein that Texas A&M, Alabama have this. We've talked about a war chest with Scott Woodward, and that's what he wanted. They had war chest and then another war chest.
Remember this. Saban was telling the Texas High School Coaches Association in the middle of July last year that his starting quarterback, Bryce Young, who had taken, I believe, 9 snaps at the time at the University of Alabama, had $1 million in the bank in NIL deals. A month later, in August, when Ed Ogeron was asked about it at a speaking engagement publicly in Tiger Stadium at the Baton Rouge Rotary Club,
People wanting to give money.
asked by business owners who were there eager to line up and pay the program for players, asked him on the spot at an LSU function, how do we help? How do we pay? How do we get guys in the system that we can now recruit towards? And Ogeron said, call Derek Panamsky. Like, that gives you the idea of how wide of a spectrum LSU is off from their competition in 2 instances of head coaches last year in public speaking engagements. Saban in Texas in July, Ogeron in the South Stadium Tiger End Zone development and addition a day before LSU reported at the Baton Rouge Rotary Club. Saban's telling the Texas High School Coaches Association Bryce Young's got $1 million in the bank. Ogeron's telling him to call his assistant, who's a former radio guy, didn't have a clue what he was doing, who was driving co-pilot as they just put this thing into the graveyard.
Oof.
Shambles. But 2019, they should send the majority of that buyout to Burrow. By the way, Burrow and the boys, 15-10 winners in Denver today.
That might have been the first NIL deal to give Coach O a lifetime contract. I don't know what they slid him to say that on the Heisman stage, but that did not turn out. First time Joe Burrow's ever been wrong.
I mean, if O gets 15 out of the deal, let's say he gets, 16-9 out of the deal? I mean, it legitimately, he should send him 8.
Oh, 10.
I mean, we could.
And four to Joe Brady.
It just, I mean, the warts that Burrow covered up.
I mean, you can see it. You saw it today. That was an ugly, ugly football game. But
Ugly.
When you look at it, what did he do? He won. It's him going against another top 10 pick in Drew Lock. Drew Lock can't make the third down throw on 3rd and 8. But what can Burrow do on 3rd and 12? Across the middle, boom, dagger crossing route, hits the guy across the middle of the field, ball game. Because that's what Burrow does.
He made one of the most incredible incomplete passes I've ever seen today when he's rolling to his left.
He's all over the place.
And he spins away from the linebacker and is able to just throw it out of bounds in a key moment in the game. And it was such an impressive incompletion that it was amazing. The Saints have pissed Leonard off. They just hit Leonard after the whistle, and he's running like St. Aug Leonard, like he's running all pissed off.
Put the 5 on him?
Yeah, I mean, old Lenny right now, he's one of the top backs in the league.
What a star turn for him. He deserves it. He deserves it.
We finally gave him a quarterback.
Right.
First time in his life.
Yeah, he deserves all of
First
this.
time in his life.
Have you seen the video of Tom Brady telling him what the coverage is when he's doing a play action pass? Have you seen that? And so Tom Brady's under center, and he's reading the defense or whatever. He hikes the ball. He goes to do play action. He goes, Lenny, cover 2, and Leonard runs the route based off what Tom Brady told him to do during the game. There's stories of Jamarcus Russell doing something similar, but not like that at all. He wouldn't tell you the defense. He goes, go get that ass, boy. Like he would be hitting it to Hester and be like, go get that ass up, 18. He's like, Jamarcus, I'm trying to get the football from you, man. Don't be talking to me like that. Go get that ass, 18.
Trey Mitchell, Jordy, what needs to happen now moving forward with NIL? I think LSU needs to get it right, man. LSU needs to come up with a structure and a protocol, and I know that there are things in place that, prohibit some of the universities from being direct content, but come on. I mean, all of that stuff can be sidestepped, and all of that stuff is being sidestepped, and all of that stuff is still what was happening 4 years ago, 3 years ago in college football, under the table payments, all of that stuff, off the books cheating, is still happening. It's still going on. But now the conversation to get to the illegal stuff now goes through the legal route. Like, you can openly, in a living room, have Nick Saban speaking to somebody's representation and parents about how they're going to set this kid up with money.
The lawyer.
And, oh, by the way, once you sign that letter of intent, We got a $150,000 signing bonus for you that we're going to distribute to everybody here. Oh, 150 is not enough? You need 250. Perfect. It's one call away. It's all good. We got the money, and we're going to give it to you, both legally and illegally. And that's what's happening. Alabama was the best cheaters 3 years ago. Now they're the best cheaters with the NIL deals. Texas A&M was always cheating. But now they're doing it with NIL deals and cheating under the table too.
With the alleged Keishon Butte smoke of him, possibly courting offers from different colleges, wouldn't that be the litmus test for where LSU is with NIL? If they're able to swing Keishon and keep him at LSU, would that be the first positive sign of they figured out that this thing is a huge deal and they were able to pile some money together quickly?
I would think so.
Because this is the biggest.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Horns with Hearts.
Right.
Whatever that is. I mean, come on. I mean, that is out in the open. That is paying players, just setting up in the rules of the game. This is how the rules operate. Perfect. All they need to do is tweet out Horns with Hearts, and we're going to pay them $50,000.
Tweets already scheduled.
And then a week later, they get the top offensive lineman in the country.
Fatboy Slim, then why are you complaining, Jordy? LSU would just get outbid. I'm just saying that LSU needs to have a structure in place to be competitive.
Yeah.
I'm saying that LSU still is able to attract top talent. Look at last Wednesday's recruiting class. But also, if you want to dig in to how this has changed the landscape of recruiting, look at last Wednesday's recruiting class. Right? Where, kids from the state of Louisiana were out loud saying, I'd love to go to LSU. I've always wanted to go to LSU. But when it came down to it, it was business. It turns into business now. It is now business. And which is why, look, man, it's going to be a mess. 2 years from now, Texas A&M's locker room is going to be like the Los Angeles Rams. Where, you've got people in there that are talking about deals, people that are promoted, people that are on commercial. It's going to be an NFL locker room.
Bye weeks at Texas A&M are about to be fire.
And I don't think Jimbo Fisher can handle that stuff. Really, handle it and win. It's going to be a mess.
It's a mess.
Yeah. What about what Lane Kiffin said, where he came out and said, I just hope that the players get the money they're promised. There has to be some sort of structure to make sure that they're not just blowing smoke in these recruits' faces.
I got to imagine they're signing contracts. These players are represented.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's lawyers present now.
You're not talking to a 17-year-old kid. You're not talking to somebody where you say, hey, yeah, just text me and we'll get it done. It's not how that – you heard BJ Ojulari. Yeah. He's talking to Bob Phillips at Rock Nation in Brooklyn. When we signed BJ to that NIL deal, we were going back and forth with Bob Phillips at Rock Nation. These guys are represented by true professionals, people who understand entertainment, contracts, people who understand how to get the value for their client. So, it's there. I'd imagine to answer Kiffin's question, it would be that there's contracts in place, there's commitments. You're signing your name on a dotted line. That Horns with Heart stuff, they're signing contracts. And they're all signing up for $50,000 for a tweet a week. It's like...
It's already been written. They don't have to do anything.
They just did a tweet, send.
They don't have to do that.
Saints are up 6-0 here at the half.
I felt the under in my bones. I did, and I just didn't do it. Like I said, took my little win and walked away.
This was the longest quarterback sneak I've ever seen.
Will Wade will be on the show tomorrow morning at 7:30. Please spread the word. We appreciate you being here.
Unfiltered Will Wade?
Unfiltered Will Wade for sure.
You can cuss on here. You can cuss on the Culotta show if you want.
Bleep the bleep up.
That was an incredible piece of media last night. Justin Broussard, you are making LSU and its fan base bad by the way that you are moaning and complaining about NIL. I'm not moaning and complaining, Justin. I'm just telling you that the competition is running away from LSU, and to keep up, they're going to have some type of structure and foundation put in place on NIL, and it is very evident. That's all I'm saying. I'm not moaning and complaining. Crossfire, let the NCAA investigate these teams that threw out the massive payments and regulate this stuff. The schools that paid took a big gamble with NIL, and now they are being investigated. Is that true? I haven't heard any investigations.
Brother, the NCAA has no bearing or weight in this conversation
and
anymore.
Let me tell you who the last person that they are going to get any type of investigation move forward on, and that's the Alabama football program while Nick Saban is there.
We all want Christmas bonuses,
The
right?
only investigations I've heard of are BYU and Miami.
Max Toscano says, I mean, if Woodward
That's
is
our
good
guy.
If Woodward is good at anything and is raising money, LSU never had an issue of raising money for stuff. They got to get it right, but it's hard to imagine that they don't. Look, they got the right guy in place, I think, to tackle this topic in NIL, which is very much dealt around, money and the ability to raise money. And I think that Scott Woodward understands that, and that he is the right guy, right person to put the people in place to navigate this.
Do you think you'll expect more from Brian Kelly publicly? Like, he'll have to be kind of more out front than what he already is. He's, as we've heard, he's more of a recluse. He likes to kind of stick to his own means. Like, that's what kind of the tenor in the building has been. He's not really talking to anybody. He does his own thing. But if you're trying to go out and raise money, don't you want to see the head coach present? Like, he'll have to...
I think,
I guess you're kind of seeing it with the Walker Howard video. He's kind of getting out of his comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, and I think he'll have to do some more back deal speeches. You know what I mean? Some back room kind of.
He's never had to do that stuff before.
Not like he
not like
here.
this.
No, not like this.
I mean, Aaron Anderson. Who's that?
Yes.
Go to Edna Carr. Like,
Right.
Oh, ooh.
Right.
Where's Frank?
We need to take you to Algiers, and we need you in this setting. We need you to be relatable.
Wear this.
Right. I mean, it's one of those things. Andrew Messina, it'll be interesting how the landscape of college baseball changes with NIL. These kids could potentially make more in college than the minors. That is true. I think that baseball has a great opportunity to make a lot of money on NIL. Yep. The funny thing is to watch these schools give $1 million to a player like Ishmael Sopsher that amount to absolutely nothing. There will be a lot of swings and misses, just like an NFL free agency. I mean, think about Jarius Byrd for the New Orleans Saints a couple of years back. Sean Payton, Mickey Loomis, two of the best evaluators of talent that the sport has seen in the last 25 years, pitched a ton of money, sold the fan base and the public on the evaluation of Byrd, in which they said that they were going to build the defense around him and make him almost like Seattle's Legion of Boom defense around Byrd. And I think he had 18 tackles.
Worst signing, Brandon Browner or Jarius Byrd for
Byrd.
the Saints.
Byrd, more money.
Brandon Browner was brutal.
He was bad. But it will be like NFL free agency.
Yeah, you're going to take your hacks. But that's the war chest that we talk about. They are built up to be able to swing and miss. Like, the amount of money in college football, I'd imagine people realize it, but I don't know if people realize it, how much money is available to the players and to the coaches. Like, look at what they were doing before. They were putting water slides and all of these things, and they didn't know where to spend it. And now it's like, we can just give it to the players. This is about to balloon and be it's going to be unsettling for some people that don't understand how much money was being kind of kept secret from the players, and now it's available to spend. It's going to be a whole different game.
Kevin Vircher, you are moaning and complaining. Okay.
Kevin Vircher?
Says I am.
Are you my old T-ball coach? I was better than your son, Jake. Sorry about it.
Did he play over you?
No.
Okay.
That's what Price stings, Alexandria Firefighters.
Well, then, shout out to...
Had to move him to right. Boy took short.
Shout out to Vircher.
Sorry,
right
Jake.
field,
Not to play in the kid.
Yeah, I mean, when it's very obvious, you got to make that decision.
It's good for him.
But I can see why it'd be spiteful in the chat.
Crossfire, Brian Kelly will push the boundary just like Saban. He came here for a reason. I believe that, Crossfire. I think that they'll have a plan in place under Kelly. Marty Jack, stop blaming the kids by themselves. The families are pressuring to get the money now rather than waiting 3 years for the NFL. This is true. Don's specialty, the NCAA is dead. Still have a bit of a pulse, but they are dying for sure. Kevin Vircher, I am your old T-ball coach.
Yeah, Kev, what's up, dude?
That's awesome.
Yes.
Jake was a hell of a kicker at Ash, and I'll double down on that. He could kick.
D-Will097, hey, my man Jake was a great kicker.
There we go.
Yep, there it is.
There you go.
Jake could get the deal done.
That is amazing.
Great leg swing. for the brand.
Brian Roussel, is it mere did Derek Stingley steal money? Sure, he got an NIL, but only played one full year. NFL's Mo Claiborne 2.0. I think that he was he actually he handled all the requirements that he was to the NIL stuff, but I guarantee you that the NIL contractors would have definitely liked him to be on the field rather than watching from the sideline or watching from home. A lot of that.
Or New York City. Is that where he goes?
Right now? What do you
No,
mean?
I'm saying before he gets drafted, do you think Stingley's they've assigned him Mel Kiper Jr.
Yeah, to the
Assigned him
Jets.
to the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, he's top 5 still, regardless.
For
Without-
sure.
He hasn't played in 2 years, pretty much.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with it. I would take him with the lack of quarterbacks in this class. If you can get a stalwart corner, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility you take him 2 or 3 and just take the safe pick.
T-Bob's Burnt Hand, who is opting out of the bowl game? I have not heard of any opt-outs. I have heard that there could be some academic issues coming down on LSU, which we will have to wait and see what announcement is made
Still
and
time to
who
take
is
some
going
tests.
to be.
Straighten it out.
Is who's going to be eligible, who's going to not be eligible.
Just put a couple more words on that paper. You're
Yeah.
fine.
G. McGee C. Radio hosts are good outlets to connect these kids with local business owners. Step up, Jordy. Okay.
You drop the bag, we'll drop the bag.
Yeah.
Bailey Vining, please make sure we get these kids financial advisors and help guide them to do it right with the with it so it will last generations.
Daniel Newman.
This is a good time for Daniel Newman and his trade. Daniel Newman. Speaking of Daniel, we are meeting him for lunch tomorrow. Looking forward to catching up with our guy.
How fired up
Daniel
was he?
Newman at edwardjones.com for the basketball.
Oh, my God.
God, bro. My God.
LSU they didn't even know what to do. They were scrambling. The video's too good not to put out. Take it down,
We
put
have
it
to.
back
We
up.
gotta keep it out there.
Jordy Culotta show takes it and runs with it. Well, they're doing it, but whatever. He's going to be on the show Monday.
Yes, we will talk to Coach Will Wade here tomorrow. Andrew Messina, thoughts on the Ravens going for 2? Love the aggressiveness, hate the play call. I feel exactly like you do, Andrew. I never expected Jim Harbaugh or John Harbaugh and the Ravens not to go for it. That's who they are, uber aggressive. But I don't know why you don't give him a run-pass option there.
And I think I feel like his read kind of stuck. I think if he would have looked at his second one, Hollywood Brown in the back of the end zone could have been a little dump, but Mark Andrews was the guy.
They're all lit on that style, right? They have both quarterbacks that can run the.
Yeah.
He looks great.
I mean, they look like the same player. Like when you
Lamar's a little better.
No, he is.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
when you just turn on the game,
The
like,
offense feels
physically,
they
it
can
does.
win with him.
Absolutely.
It's crazy because I guess it is like a kind of a simple, but for Hundley, I want to call him Brett Hundley so bad, but it's not him.
I know.
It's the quarterback from Utah, and he has a kind of a little bit of that game to him.
No,
so
he's from Utah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Brett
yeah.
Hundley went to
Yeah,
UCLA,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I just
yeah,
see
yeah,
that
yeah,
name
yeah,
at
yeah.
quarterback, and that's what
Huntley.
I associate it with. But he's a better player. Like he can win them football games without Lamar. I feel like that game looks the exact same way with Lamar in it.
Yeah.
I do too.
That's crazy. But they're totally committed to that. Like I don't see another team trying to go and pluck Lamar Jackson from the Ravens because you have to overhaul your entire system to make it fit him.
Yeah, completely.
And he's not like a sign like an Aaron Rodgers
Right,
where you're like, I
right.
just put him in. Like Lamar, you have to tailor that thing. You have to get tight ends and make sure it works.
Well, you saw
and
that
they've done that.
the first year, his rookie season. They just kind of plugged him into Flacco's offense, and it just didn't really get the ball rolling.
Right.
And then the next year, when they finally circled around, they got Mark Ingram. They circled it around that type of offense, and it was
Dynamite. Sorry, Bill. Glad your son's here. Didn't he make the evaluation on who to offer? Wasn't he the one that told him to get Ibieta? That was Bill Polian's first offer as LSU.
Yeah.
Or not Bill's
Brian.
son, Brian.
Yeah, Brian Polian and Jordan Allen, Lafayette Christian.
He might be a little stud.
No,
sneaky
I agree.
get.
I agree. All right, that is the show here for this Sunday night. Remember, we are brought to you by the law offices of Lance Beal. Shout out to Lance Beal and the crew over there. Hit them online at lawofficeoflancebeal.com. They're down in Acadiana where you can find them there. Great website to learn more about Lance Beal and everything he offers. But remember, if you are looking or need representation in personal injury, small business, construction law, family law, estate planning, get in touch with the law office of Lance Beal, lawofficeoflancebeal.com. We will be with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., 7:09, on the Jordy Culotta Show. As we will talk to Will Wade after last night's great win by the Tigers. LSU still undefeated as they go into a Wednesday night
Women's basketball also 8 straight wins.
Wow.
They score 100 again.
I don't know if they scored 100 again, but
They're kind of like the who is it that plays Harlem Globetrotters? I mean, they're just wiping people. Like you're going to lose about 40.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
Let's feel.